reached out to me, my very first client, I'll never forget it. And she said, you know, her house, when she would walk in, it would just leave her feeling depressed and it wasn't put together. And she just finally bit the bullet and was like, you know, I'm going to hire a professional, just have it done the way I want it, and I can feel good in this space. So I think it gives you, by hiring a professional, whatever it may be, it gives you peace of mind. And I think that is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
To have that. You know, a lot of people think they can do stuff on their own, which, you know, you can, more power to you, but there's also a cost associated to that too on your mental well-being.
It is.
You know,
it is.
Yeah.
The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and not necessarily those of WKTV Community Media.
Hello, West Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media Business TV. My name is Pamela Keim, your host. The spirit of the show is to introduce West Michigan to all the businesses, nonprofits, individuals that can help us thrive in our lives. Well, I have a guest that I have been wanting on the show for a while. I saw her on LinkedIn, and she is a decorator. It is that time of the season. We're all kind of going back into our interior homes, and we look around our space and we're like, you know what? I want to change something. Or maybe you've been talking about it for years, or maybe you think it's too expensive, or maybe you just don't know what to do. But the one thing I will tell you, that you need to do something in your space to feel warm and welcoming, and because people can feel that when you come into your home. So I want to welcome to the show Katelynn Scott. She is she owns Decorating Den Interiors, and she's going to show us what we can do to turn our home into a beautiful space. So when our family and friends come over, we can say, you know, welcome to our home. So
Nice
welcome
to
to the show,
Thank
Katelynn.
you, Pamela. Thanks for having me today.
I really appreciate you being here today, because we just spoke off camera about the projects I did last year for my husband when he was gone, because I was telling you I felt this kind of dread when I was going into the house, and he would be making excuses why we couldn't have people over. And it wasn't that our house was bad, it just wasn't, I guess, up to, I don't even know what standards. It didn't feel like it would be up to our friends' standards.
Sure.
If that's a better way of looking at it.
No,
you know?
that makes sense.
So you probably hear this a lot. So I want you to share a little bit. Who is Katelynn? How did you get into this?
Yes.
and tell us, you know, how we can make our home beautiful too.
Sure, yeah. So it's actually an interesting story, Pamela. My husband and I are from Chicago. We were born and raised there. We moved out here to West Michigan 7 years ago.
Okay.
So we just wanted a change of pace. But my background's actually in marketing, so that's what I went to school for. I worked in the corporate setting for over 12 years.
Wow.
And yeah, just, you know, I reached a point at the end of the day where I was just like, you know what, this isn't really fulfilling me. I want something more. I had always thought about owning my own business, but didn't really know where to start. And it wasn't until we purchased our home in Hudsonville, where it was our first home. It was a blank slate, and I really was able to pour a lot of love and energy into that.
Right, you probably loved it.
Oh, it was amazing. I had full reign to do whatever I want. My husband is amazing. Let me do whatever I wanted. But people were coming over and they were saying, wow, your house is so beautiful. It feels like I'm stepping into a magazine. And so it got me thinking, you know, could I actually do this for a living? And so I went back to school. I took some courses in interior design, and that's how I found Decorating Den Interiors, which is actually a franchise.
Is it really? Okay. So
Yeah.
they kind of give you already some ways you can help.
Yeah,
Like beautify a small space, which some people deal with.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I didn't know anything about a franchise or what that entailed, but I really loved the idea of that, especially having that coming from like such a corporate backing and having a corporate structure. It was kind of a seamless transition for me.
Sure.
Because it really enabled me to, you know, it had all the systems in place and all the tools and training.
It's a lot of moving parts when you start a
and
business.
not knowing, you know, this kind of did a 180 in my career. So having that corporate structure was everything. But yeah, it's been great. I love it. We're full service here. We've been doing this now for 2 years.
Wow,
So yeah.
So when you had your friends come over, you know, and I was saying you probably get a lot of people that take up your time asking you questions.
Oh, sure.
Because it is a big cost when you
Yes.
start changing your home. You think it is.
Yeah.
But and finally somebody said, you're just painting it.
Right.
If you paint it, and if it doesn't work out, a gallon of paint is, it's a little pricier more than today than it was years ago. But you can easily change it.
Yes.
And people just freak out like, I don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm
That's
saying?
the benefit of working with a designer, though, is that we can come up with build a design concept for you. We could do renderings, mood boards, so that you can see how everything is going to look like in your space before committing, because that is a big fear for a lot of people, as they don't want to make that commitment and they want to avoid those costly design mistakes. So that's one of the benefits, I think, of hiring a designer, is that we can lay that all out for you. We keep up with the trends. We know manufacturers that can really help bring your vision to life. So,
well, how does that work? Okay, so you have this business, right? You and you get your client calls you, right?
yes.
Katelynn, I want something different. I
Yeah.
want my home to feel. Most people want their home to feel welcoming,
Sure.
warm. There's different scales in which you can do that, right? Maybe you want a little bit more of an upper scale, or maybe just like me. I was telling you, I'm a Hallmark girl.
Yeah,
I want
that.
people to feel comfortable in my home.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be too frumpy.
Or
If that makes
stuffy.
sense.
Yeah,
Where's that
right.
line?
No.
So how does that start when a client calls you and says, all right, you're going to start the process. What does that look like? And then, of course, do you ask the budget right away? How does this process work?
That's a great question. So it's really getting to know our clients. Interior design is a very personal profession, right? We're going into your home. We're getting to know your lifestyle, your goals, your needs. Everybody is so different with where they're at in their life. And so it's really, the first step is really getting to know our clients and what their immediate need is, because you could have the most beautiful design in the world, but if it's not first functional, then it's not a successful design, right? So it's got to fit your style. It's got to fit your lifestyle,
if you
your
have
family.
children,
Yeah,
like
your
you just said, you have a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Your fingerprints on the counter and on the wall. We were just talking about that on the cupboards are different than mine.
Right.
I don't have the children at home, so mine are all up here.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's different options too with layout and performance fabrics, and that's something I walk my clients through too. But it's really important first in getting to know how you're living in your home and how you envision your space to be. So it's really kind of going through a more in-depth discovery phase of getting to know our clients.
Well, okay, so let's talk about when if I was talking to you, it's like, okay, I want this certain color, right? Because I see it in a magazine, right? Some people do watch those magazines, which I find it's fascinating, and I find it unbelievably that it costs that. It doesn't seem reality when they say we could do this whole thing for like $1,200 or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I think TV does not paint an accurate depiction of what real life is, but I think it's, again, educating our clients, having that open communication and seeing, maybe advising them on what areas it's worth spending a little bit more money on and where they can scale back on too. So it's part of our process too is educating our clients and getting to know, where the best bang for their buck is.
Well, you say you went back to school. Did you? I mean, I know that you're kind of gifted, but is there any do you see colors different, or do you see? You know what I'm saying? How does that work with your life?
I feel like it's almost with designers and decorators. Sometimes it's almost an innate skill, right? Like that's why I went into interior design too, because environment has always been so important to me. Even when I was a little girl, Pamela, like organization and just my surroundings always played a big part in my life. My mom literally wrote in my baby book, like, Katelynn is surprisingly neat for a 5-year-old. I made my bed every day. So from a little girl, I was just always, and like I said, environment, surroundings, it always played a big part in my life. And I truly feel like a beautiful home is a foundation for a beautiful life, and when you invest in your home, you invest in yourself. And so share a little bit more about that. And I do believe that, because when I started to make those changes in my home, I felt more pride. I felt when I wasn't worried that my friends weren't going to pop in. Like, you ever get that call, we're in the neighborhood? I mean, it doesn't happen often with us, but sometimes we would be like throwing things in the closet because. And I felt like when I walked in the door and I saw
the finished product.
Yeah.
There was the weight off of me that felt, even if I didn't have guests there for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it was just felt so much pride. And I think how important that is, especially to women.
Right.
My husband doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And whenever I see clutter or whatever, and I start to get get
you
agitated, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's the big deal?" I'm like, I don't like this stuff.
Yes.
I don't like this here.
Yes. I feel like, I feel like we saw that too, especially with like the pandemic too. We were confined in our homes for all that time, and people started to really started to get to them certain things that normally they didn't see before. But when you're in your home and you're looking at it and you're, that's all you can do, I think you really start to realize, our environment does have a big impact on our mental state and our well-being, and that having a clean, functional, beautiful space actually is good for our health.
It is. And I think when you clear everything out, like I mentioned, you cleared things out, put them in different places where it brought beauty.
Sure, yes.
Not just function.
Yes.
Like, okay, there's a lamp. Yep, that works. We can keep that. It didn't bring.
Yeah.
Have you heard that from other women?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
especially
I
work
feel
a
so
lot with
prettier
busy,
when I'm in my home.
Yeah, I work a lot with like busy professionals that have kids, and they value a beautiful home, but they necessarily don't have the time or energy to put it all together. I think too, especially for moms, we want to have that space where we can come home that feels like us, where we can unwind and just relax. I think that's really important. And so my main goal when I go into designs or working with clients is that I want to create beautiful, personalized, functional spaces that foster happier, stress-free homes. Because I know that.
I know.
I know that from firsthand.
But I would even say that you could even go a little further. You could even become depressed.
Yes.
Because your drapes are not bringing you light in. Your colors are not.
Yeah.
And you that even though people are like, well, I can't afford that. What do you do? It's like I would really love to do something with my house, but I think it's just we can't afford to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
what
don't
does
think
that
you have
look like?
to go. Yeah. It's really understanding like where you're at and what you need. It doesn't take a lot to make a change. Yep. The small changes can make a really big difference. Whether it's, I know we were just talking about updating our throw pillows, right? Like that's something easy that you can do per season that can just help to bring some more color and life back into your home. Paint is fairly inexpensive to update. Even lighting, lighting is it can make a big statement, and it's fairly inexpensive. So there are little changes that you can do that can really make a big impact in your home.
Well, how does when a client, is it mostly the female? But actually,
reaches
out, or is it more males doing that?
It's funny. I think husbands are starting to get into it a little bit more. I don't know if it's because of all the shows that are on TV, but it's mostly the female will reach out. But there are a lot of times when it's both. They both want to be involved, and they both have a say in the direction of the space.
Well, I will tell you, when I had my painter, we talked about that. I could have easily painted.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that, it's so much nicer to say, okay, this is going to be done in 2 days.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how many people?
It's peace of mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
You come home and I'm like, every day it was further.
Yeah.
Instead of, share a little bit about how important it is to have actually spending that little bit of money and having it done in a reasonable time. Like maybe it's done in 5 days or something like that, what that does to
and it's done the right way, right? It's something, a lot of people, I had my first client actually reached out to me, my very first client, I'll never forget it. And she said, her house, when she would walk in, it would just leave her feeling depressed and it wasn't put together. And she just finally bit the bullet and was like, I'm going to hire a professional, just have it done the way I want it, and I can feel good in this space. So I think it gives you, by hiring a professional, whatever it may be, it gives you peace of mind. And I think that is worth its weight in gold to have that. A lot of people think they can do stuff on their own, which, you can, more power to you, but there's also a cost associated to that too on your mental well-being.
It is. It is a mental drain.
Yeah.
It is a mental drain to make decisions.
Yeah.
You're looking through, okay, yes, you can buy many things online today, many Amazon. Share a little bit about why, if you're looking at me and you know exactly what type of person and whatever, to narrow those options down.
Yep.
And you go 1, 2, 3 and going to you and like, this is what we think is best for this space.
Yeah.
at your price range,
Yeah.
what would you like out of these 3?
Yes.
As opposed to you're looking at 50.
Correct. You hit it right on the head, because a lot of people will come to me and they'll be like, there are just so many options out there and it's very overwhelming. And how do I know if I'm getting a quality piece of furniture? How do I know if this is going to fit in my space, right? So we have the resources to go out and, get those items for
Touch
you.
them
so
for
that,
you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We have actually over 150 vendors that we work with. And because of that, we have a ton of samples. So we bring them to your space. There's no running around to showroom. We see how everything is going to look like in your space with your existing furnishings, with your lighting, so that you can feel confident in your decisions and you know exactly what you're getting.
But you could probably move, even people be surprised how much they can actually keep.
Right.
Right. They're so worried that, maybe the husband's looking at this going, oh my gosh, she's going to buy all new furniture, whatever.
Yeah.
But if that is the discussion
Yeah.
that you have in the beginning, look, we want to be able to use as much of our furniture here. You might say, it would be really good if you could paint this, or we can get this painted a lighter color.
Yes.
To make it look better. Because they do
Yes.
that all the time.
Yes.
And you can move this around, or you can, this table would be better here.
Yes, furniture layout. Yeah, just
Right.
space planning, furniture layout. It's amazing. I have had clients who are like, you know what, we really like our furniture. We want to keep it, but we just kind of want to spruce things up a little bit. What can we do? And it's amazing what new artwork can do, what accessory pieces can do, what a new rug can do. I mean, it truly is just little updates, like we were saying. You don't have to spend a ton of money to make a space feel like your own,
Right.
know?
And for you husbands out there, don't tell me, if you do this and, just like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet on this and but give her a budget.
Yeah.
So you're able to be on the same page, and she does it. She is going to be so much, she's just going to feel
Live
different
better
walking the door.
life.
I felt different. And when my friends came over, or our couple friends
Yeah.
come over, no matter when they came over, I was like, even if there was a little bit of a mess on the office space area you have in your kid, I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the house, I could say,
perfect.
was nice.
Yes,
And
yes.
people were like, and people can also, people know you have to live in a house.
Right.
You do have to,
Right,
explain
yes.
that this is a livable house.
Right, you want it to
don't.
be, yeah, you want it, that's what a house is, right?
Right.
And yeah, I think it's important. I think too, as women, we take a lot of pride in our home.
It reflects
Yeah,
us.
and it's a personal reflection of us. I think, yeah, women see it a little bit differently than the men do, but
Right.
it's important to us. And so we want that space to entertain and to host and to feel good in. So.
And we wanted, now my children were younger. I wanted them to live in like a Hallmark
Yes.
home. That was my ideal. Because back in the day, that was
Yeah.
what, and I wanted them to have their friends over and feel comfortable. I didn't live in a big showcase, but it was always clean, and it had updated colors.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. We did that. And then, they wanted to do that. But, the funny thing I was going to tell you, this was a quick story, that, when I had my home and we were still in this kind of chaotic, not putting it together the way we wanted to, and because we were like, we're going to move or we're not going to move,
Yeah.
whatever, or it's going to cost. We had in the back of our mind it was going to cost too much. But anyways, so then we had some friends actually do stop over, and I wasn't there, and I said to my husband, he goes, yeah, somebody stopped by, and I said, really? Oh, cool. I go, well, what door did you enter them in?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I went out the front door, which I said, well, why didn't you go up the garage door?
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at me and goes, why? I go, because the garage reflects you.
Oh,
The
yes.
garage
yes.
interior, and the house reflects me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
It's
he just
funny.
kind of looked at me, and I'm like, that's why you did it.
Yeah,
Because you didn't look so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right.
And most
Yeah.
guys can, and I think women can relate to this. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when I drive by and I see somebody's garage a completely mess, I don't really think of the wife.
Right, yeah,
I
that's
think
the
of the
husband's. Isn't that
husband's
funny how you
domain.
have, yeah.
But if I walked into a kitchen that is not organized,
Yeah.
I don't have to say it's got to be perfect.
Right.
Not organized. I keep saying, well, either she's working a lot of hours,
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
no.
about that. Okay, so all right, so they would call you, Katelynn,
Yes.
and you would come to visit their home.
Yes.
Is that how this process
Yes,
works?
correct. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ask them questions.
Yep.
What kind of lifestyle do you have? What would you like to have?
Yes.
You probably look around. You could tell if they have kids.
Yes.
Right? Maybe they
Yeah.
have grandma living in the back,
Yeah.
right? We want that function so she doesn't trip. Okay, well, we're going to make that.
Exactly.
And then what do? You look around and you look at the lighting, the the windows, because that has a big on the color
yeah.
of how else do you
Yes.
How's that work? Did
That
you start
got
sketching?
it. No, you got it. Phil, you're so good. You got it. Yeah. So a client will call us. We'll do a discovery call first just to get a preliminary conversation. And then, we do an in-home consultation. And I come in, tour the space. So I like to see the whole house to get a really good idea of how you're living.
Okay.
We'll do measurements. Yep. We'll take in consideration lighting, what way the house faces, and we just talk to them. We get to see, what they're struggling with, what their pain points are, what their goals are, if they have kids, if they have pets, how often they entertain. So we take all of that into consideration to produce the best concept for them.
And sometimes you would really don't even have to, maybe they were thinking about they had to do a whole restructure.
Yeah.
And maybe you could say, okay, we could do this at this price and give you that same type of feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And instead of knocking down the wall, which is a
Right.
major structure thing.
Right, yeah.
Bringing in all the, and I'm sure the husband's like, oh, really? We can still give her that feeling of home in it, and I don't have to write another zero behind this check,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, no, we try to give our clients the best solution possible based on their budget. We work on, because we have such a large, extensive supplier network, we can work on a good, better, best system. So depending on where you feel comfortable in investing, we can work within that range.
So tell us the one little thing where a woman, did you get that when they walked in when you were doing, wow, I never saw my house look like this.
Yeah, that is the best.
I never could have dreamed that my house could look like this. Does that make sense?
That is the most rewarding part of the job, is transforming the space and then seeing the client's reaction when it's finally done, because we actually do the installation too. We do white glove delivery. So we work with our clients, we build a design concept, I order all the products, and then we schedule white glove delivery. So the client will leave for the day, kind of like what you see on those HGTV shows. So the client leaves for the day, and then we come in with a team of people and we put it all together. So we'll hang the artwork, we'll install the draperies, we'll roll out the rugs, we'll do all the things,
right?
So that when they walk in, they have a beautiful space that is tailored for them. So that's the most amazing part, is when they walk in for that first time and see their home reimagined.
Right, reimagined.
Yeah.
And I think it's really wise to be totally away from that, because all of us have known what emotion it is.
Yes.
When you start working on a project and discovering this and discovering that and finding things, memories.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like,
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
"Well, we need to pull this off because
Yeah.
of this." And people don't realize
Yeah.
that you go, why am I so exhausted by, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because
Yeah.
it's a lot of emotion.
Right.
In your
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And you don't
is.
realize it.
It is. It takes up a lot of space, I think, for anybody to kind of, if you're in an environment that's not speaking to you or inspiring you, or you don't feel comfortable in, So
Yeah.
it does take up a lot of mental real estate, I think, if you're in an environment that's not conducive to
And
you.
maybe it was something your parents gave you, an art you got from your grandmother, item, and okay, let's move it here to bring it value.
Give it some more love.
Yes,
Yeah.
because people don't realize that I have noticed that sometimes some of the most cherished items are just buried.
Yeah, and
with other things.
I recommend to showcase those, right? Because your home should be a reflection of you, and it should have all the things that are meaningful to you. So if it is grandma's old,
like we have a
yeah,
hope chest
table
that we
or
use as a coffee
something.
table
then
that we have.
We'll find a way to incorporate that into the design, because I believe that's important. That tells your home story, and it teles part of who
I'm
you
going
are.
to have you over my place.
Yeah, I would
so
love
you can
that.
take a look at what I've done in this year and where I can make
excited.
maybe a couple more changes to bring
Yes.
that So anything that we didn't cover today that you'd love to share with West Michigan?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it. I think we hit everything. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Well, our home is where we spend the most time.
Yes.
And it's how we feel when we walk in, how we feel when our guests come over, and our family parties. And we all want people to come over. I love connecting people, having them come over, dinner parties.
Yes.
I love that, and I enjoy it. And when I'm sitting in a home where I'm proud of, that you don't have to spend a lot of money to feel some pride.
Exactly.
And make people feel welcome.
Exactly.
Right?
That's so important. Yep, I agree.
All right, so how can they reach Katelynn Scott to hear more about your
Yes,
services?
so you can visit us online at KatlynScott.decoratingdone.com, or on social media. We're on Pinterest, Facebook and Instagram at Katelynn Scott DDI.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So that I would highly recommend you get it done, get her booked before everybody finally wakes up on Christmas morning.
Oh,
After
yes,
Christmas Day,
yes,
right? You take
yep,
the tree down and
yep.
it's like, we have got to do something.
Oh, yep,
I
that's
need to
usually
change
happen.
Well, people need
Well,
to change.
everything's so bare then afterwards too, after you take everything down.
Well, I
so.
think too, when you go through those winter months, you just want to change.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yep.
nothing wrong with it. Nothing
Yep.
wrong with getting a nice paint job. Something
Yeah,
different, right?
Exactly.
To make you smile.
Exactly.
All right, I want to thank Katelynn Scott for being
thank
here.
you, Pamela. So
I
great.
appreciate that, and I'll have you back, and I will let you know how it goes. When
Yeah,
I have
keep
her
me
at my place,
posted.
I'll give you an update on how it goes. But there's a few questions I wanted to ask you when you come
Great.
over my house.
Yeah.
So this is Pamela Keim from Grand Tap Media Business TV. Check out Katelynn Scott on the information she gave you, and let's make some changes and make our home warm and welcoming, and have people over for the holidays, and just let's reconnect with our loved ones. We'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone.